Why not? Okay. My opponent said the stream is muted. And the engine is off. I hope so. Man. No engines. Alright. I like this. I'm gonna go with it. The Trompowsky. Who knows about the Trompowsky? Still a lot more to learn on this, for sure. Now, knight e4, things can get really crazy. Followed up with c5. Especially if knight e4, bishop h4. There's like a g4 and then an in-between move, f3, and crazy town. So now what? What is the scoop? Okay, well, I might want to just go right in for it and say, deal with this compromised pawn structure, and I'm going to have to be very cautious about what? What must I be cautious about? What color squares? Pop quiz. Very quick question in the Twitch chat. Answer it. Who's getting it? If there are squares I need to take care of, what color ones are going to be the important ones to watch out for? Yes, catching it out of the corner of my eye. Blitz King, Dub, Mont, Bill, several. Why dark? Because I don't have a dark square bishop. That's the main reason. So, if I'm going to not have my dark square bishop, these guys right here, they all of a sudden have a job. The bishop said, alright guys, I am going to shatter this structure a bit, compromise it, and you will now have to save the day. You'll have to take care of the duty I once had. So, bishop d3, why not? It's a good question, and I don't have a good reason not to. There's no bishop pin. I don't know about the bishop move here. I think going to d6 is good for a couple of reasons. One, it's more aggressively placed. It's staring at one of my pawns at least. And two, taking into account what files are opened or half opened. What do we have here with regard to the E file? The E file is half opened, and a rook eventually would like to be placed here, most likely. It's a pretty logical move, but if it's played there, the bishop is just acting as a blindfold to a rook eventually coming to this half-open file. So, I'm not sure what this is doing. I guess preparing one idea I'm seeing for black is to play f5, and then this knight will go on, take a little hike, d7, f6, e4. That'd be a nice square. I think I should do this. Knight d2. And I'll be looking into maybe a c4. I might want to challenge this pawn. Okay, now this knight is, what is he getting ready to do? Play here. I was just going to play c3, but you know what? I think just watching over b4 with the a pawn and then still allow for this c4 advance. If I play to c3, well, I can't be doing two things. My c pawn can't watch out for both these squares, can they? Can't go to c4 and still be watching b4. So the a pawn has this role, in other words. This guy maybe c4 at some point. I might want to get some more pieces involved. I'm hesitant to play. I was hesitant to be playing my knight to e2 because I didn't want maybe the bishop coming out here. I don't know how annoying of a pin that would be, but anyhow, I was thinking about just not going there right away, and instead that's why I did go with the queen knight. And this is a typical square, but I think the e2 square turns out to be better. One reason for this is because I'm seeing possibilities of attacking this light square bishop and this pawn. I've also seen You know what? Maybe I should take some things back, because this earlier idea of bishop d3, I think there's another placement for it. And it comes by way of playing g3 and bishop g2, really focusing on this pawn and maybe even the queenside light squares. So I'll have to maybe touch on that for a second or two after the game. But anyhow, what about c4 right now? I think that's looking pretty good. So let's do it. Why not? Trying to get rid of black's only center pawn. And then there will be a 2-0 majority. In fact, black is allowing for white to obtain a 2 versus 0 majority in the center as soon as they play to that c6 square. Right? The c-pawn cannot contribute with the defense, with the support of the d5 square, the d5 pawn. So, now what? What's the plan? What are black's candidate moves? Okay, and now offer light square bishop exchange or play here and hit this bishop. If your opponent has the dark or the bishop pair, having one pair of bishops come off the board is usually a very good thing. Could do this, and I am welcoming that sort of exchange. If I do this, I'm ready to grab that guy. I'm not so sure I'm worried of the dark square bishop, or am I? Knight here. The bishop will go back. Yeah, actually, I like the knight move. It's that dark square bishop. And, well, you know, come to think of it, this a-pawn is not only stopping the knight move, but the bishop move as well. Bishop check. I don't know how annoying that would have been if it did play there. I have knight c3 available. But anyhow, serving a useful role. I don't have anything else other than a recapture. And I think I just do what next? What's the plan? Rook here, kingside castle. The queen could be playing here, hitting this pawn a second time. Maybe my knight wants to do something else. Yeah, let's get my knight working. I don't want to castle just yet. I'm looking to get this bishop with either knight b5 or e4 next. I like that my bishop is opposite this king. I'm seeing that if the position becomes a bit more simplified in the endgame, I'm seeing still the possibility for me to target f7 with a rook maybe getting to the 7th rank. And I think, well, this bishop is going to be dead now, so I could play here or here. I'm going to go here just instinctually because I know it's a safe square. It's more, I guess, harmonious. It's protected. e4 is going to be quite all right as well, I'm sure, but just playing, I guess, extra cautious to avoid any nonsense, to avoid any silly little tactics that black might have. I could have also considered b4 instead of castle, but I think a5 would come. b4's intention would be to stop this c5 advance. I think an idea would be to clamp down on this this c5 square. And I think that's a very purposeful move, getting it off of this diagonal, because maybe there are ideas of me taking and then taking here with check and being on the queen. 30 seconds left for black, and I don't know that that could be... I don't know that that's a good idea. My last decision, I think this is my last main decision, and it involves my bishop. My rooks definitely know where they want to go. Get on this diagonal. Pivot about on c5, which is the square that has been weakened because of that b5 move. And I could play here, but the queen takes. My idea here is just going to be to pile up on that pawn. And it was... not taken into account there. Time pressure for both of us. With only one open file, you don't want to maintain control over it. I'll look into h3 and g4, or even king f1, e2, d3. Let's do this. There is this fork, but I'm not so afraid of that. Just work on my king position. Take with my pawn. I like my king position, although this is maybe an idea. Okay, let's stop it altogether. That king is getting pretty excited there. What is he doing? The king right here would have been pretty interesting. Let's get out of there. I'm just focusing on my king position right there towards the end. All right, good game. Good game. Let me back up. My opponent was saying that they weren't too familiar with the Trompowsky. Well, I'm not too familiar with it either. I'm still having to learn quite a bit about it. But let's have a closer look at this structure that could definitely come about from this Trompowsky. So after this exchange, now this is one that I'm not too. I don't know if you should be going with that. I think both could be played. Yeah, I'm pretty sure both could definitely be played, but I'm more familiar with this type of structure, and it's one that I get into quite a bit out of the Caro-Kann. After there's that main line continuation and knight on e4, and I just bring the knight out right away instead of the main line bishop to f5. I go knight f6 quite a bit, and we have a similar structure with this doubled f pawn. Or the doubled f pawns, yeah. So I think consider going like this and then getting your bishop out to this f5 square is one way to go about things. And also, I think really considering bishop d6. Again, it's more active, and once you're castled and you play your rook to e8, you know, your bishop will be out of the way of your rook once it plays to the half-open file. So that's another way to look at, you know, if you're wondering, well, is there really a difference between the two? Well, now you could at least be assigning differences between these 2 points. I think it's a, you know, when you're in a tournament, if you're playing chess pretty seriously, and especially when it comes to tournament play, I think it's a good feeling to be able to have a good reason behind why maybe d6 is going to be better than e7. I think that'll start to build your own confidence in your own game. So hopefully these reasons are helpful. They may seem quite simple, but you know, anyhow, it's I think could really act as a good confidence booster in your own game. Not so sure about the pawn push. If you really want to, you could just play here if your intention is to shut down the bishop from having pressure on that diagonal. But what's the plan here? I don't know about the knight move. I was starting to feel very comfortable as soon as your knight played here. I think an idea to run with, and it was something I was saying during the game, is f5 and then transfer your queen knight so that it starts to look like a king knight. Or in other words, get it to f6. f5, knight d7 to f6 to e4. Look into that idea. That maneuver might be quite good. I think there's not much else for you here because I'm taking out a strong piece eventually. There's no way to stop my knight from attacking this bishop. There's 2 squares available. You can't guard both b5 and e4 in this case. And I don't have any structural damage. I just have the bishop pair, so things are looking good for black here. And this is something that turns out to just hurt. I know there's time issues at this point, but after b5, it's just hurting your position. It's allowing for me to pivot on c5, function laterally, and basically just stay there. Cannot be dislodged. So don't do that b5 move. You're just compromising your position. But the earlier points, the dark square bishop's deployment, and the idea of bringing the queen knight over to this f6 square and then maybe later e4, I think is something to be looking into. And also just working with a different structure altogether. This right here, instead of capturing with the e pawn, you could be looking into capturing with this pawn. Okay.